Let's bring back the panel. Jeff, I want to talk first about that bar complaint against Jose Baez. I don't know what it's like in Florida, but it's always sort of the hazard of doing business, getting a bar complaint. I don't seize upon it too quickly and think it's necessarily mean anything, but what do you think?
No, I actually chaired a grievance committee, and we heard bar complaints like this. I did it for over a year. You know, the interesting thing here is the bar complaint is one for advertising, and I think that that's not that big a deal. They'll wrap that up. The other complaints about where he's getting his money from, I don't know if the Florida bar is really going to be able to investigate that, because the person that has the standing to argue and say there's a violation would be the client, and the client's not saying that. So I don't know how far the bar is going to take that. I know if it came in front of our committee, the first thing we would look at is say, well, do any of these people really have the standing to challenge and have us ask an attorney where he's getting his fees from? And I think the answer to that would be no. So I don't know where that's going to go. I doubt it's going to go very far.
Well, and Greta, I was on a bar grievance committee for 3 years also, and in our committee what they do is a lawyer initially reviews it for the Florida bar. So they thought they had enough to send it to the committee, which doesn't mean that it'll go any further than that. But these are very serious allegations against him.
All right, Diana, let me go back to the 311 pages we got, because something has stood out, and a lot of things stood out actually in the 311 pages. But one is that she has a friend named Ricardo Morales, and Ricardo Morales said that between January 23rd and mid-April of last year, now the child didn't vanish until June, but between January 23rd and mid-April, Casey joked with him, or Casey joked about giving Kaylee baby medicine, putting her to sleep. Now, there is some suspicion by some that chloroform may have been involved. That's not baby medicine. Is this admissible, do you think, at a trial, that statement about baby medicine putting her to sleep, or is that too remote?
I think it's probably admissible. To be honest, when I read that, I didn't put that much stock in it. I'm not sure what a jury is going to think, but I didn't think a mom joking about making their kid be quiet by giving them baby medicine was particularly damning information. It's certainly not very direct evidence. So I don't know how much hay they're going to be able to make with it, but I think it's in. I think the jury's going to hear lots of this stuff, and I think they're going to think she is a long-term chronic liar and a really bad mother at the very least, and they may well think more than that.
And I should add that one viewer has already sent us a little note on Twitter saying that we are convicting Casey Anthony before the trial begins. I will have to wait and see. I want all three to be back. We'll be discussing it. But, of course, she enjoys a presumption of innocence, and she will have her fate decided by a jury beyond reasonable doubt. Panel, thank you. Up next, thousands would